In a remote basin in northeastern Utah sits 500 acres of ordinary-looking ranch land. Cattle graze. A dirt road winds toward a flat-topped mesa. But this is the most studied and the most feared piece of land in America. For generations, the people who lived nearby followed one rule: do not go there after dark. This is Skinwalker Ranch. Welcome to the world of strange. Officially, it's a working cattle ranch in the Uinta Basin, near the town of Ballard. Unofficially, it has been called a doorway, a place where the laws of physics seem to bend, and something on the other side seems to be watching. To understand why, you have to go back long before any scientist ever set foot here. The land sits on the edge of the Ute Reservation, and the Ute people have a name for it: the Path of the Skinwalker. In their tradition, the ridge is cursed ground, home to a shape-shifting evil left behind by an ancient feud with the Navajo. The Skinwalker, the Naltlushi, is said to wear the skins of animals and move through the dark. For centuries, the tribe simply refused to go there. And it was never just one ranch. For decades, the entire Uinta Basin has been one of the most active UFO hotspots in the country. Back in the 1970s, scientists cataloged waves of sightings across the valley. Lights, craft, and close encounters reported by hundreds of ordinary, sober residents. The ranch simply sits at the dark heart of it, where the activity has never stopped. In 1994, a family bought the ranch anyway. They were practical people, ranchers, looking for a fresh start and a good deal on grazing land. They were warned about the stories. They didn't believe them. Within 18 months, they would abandon the property and everything on it. It started with the lights. Orbs the size of refrigerators drifting over the fields. Blue spheres that darted between the trees. Craft that hung silent in the sky and then simply blinked out of existence. The family watched them almost nightly and slowly realized the lights were not the strangest thing on their land. The cattle began to die, not from predators. The wounds were surgical, perfect cores of flesh removed with laser precision, organs taken, and no blood. None on the animal, none on the ground, no tracks leading in or out. One was found mutilated in broad daylight, in an open field, with the family nearby, and no one saw a thing. Then came the creature. The rancher described a wolf 3 times the size of any wolf that should exist, standing calmly by the corral. He fired at it point blank, again and again. The rounds struck home, and the animal didn't flinch. It turned, walked into the brush, and left tracks that stopped dead in the middle of the field, as if it had simply stepped out of the world. Inside the house, it grew worse. Objects vanished and reappeared. Deep voices spoke out of empty air, in a language no one recognized. 3 of their prize dogs chased a light into a field one night, and were found the next morning as small circles of scorched grass. Nothing else remained. 18 months in, the family gave up and sold. Their story could have died there, written off as rural legend, but an investigative journalist began pulling on the threads, and what he found was too consistent, too detailed to dismiss. Years later, the case would be laid out in a landmark book, Hunt for the Skinwalker, and a lonely ranch in Utah would go from local rumor to a name whispered around the world. The buyer was a Las Vegas billionaire named Robert Bigelow, an aerospace mogul obsessed with the unexplained. In 1996, he purchased the ranch for $200,000, and did something no one had tried before. He brought in scientists. He built an institute around it, wired the property with cameras and sensors, and put trained observers on the land around the clock. Finally, someone would catch it on tape. What they found only deepened the mystery. The phenomena continued: mutilations, orbs, objects that shouldn't be there. But whenever the team got close, the cameras failed. Equipment drained. Recordings corrupted at the exact moment something happened. It was as if the ranch knew it was being watched. Researchers began to describe the intelligence behind it with one word: a trickster. One of the most chilling reports came from the science team itself. On a ridge one night, observers said they watched a window of light open in the air, and something climb out of it. A large, dark, humanoid shape that moved on all fours, then vanished. The lead scientists were serious men with serious credentials. They had no explanation, and they were badly shaken. Here, the story takes a turn few people expected. In 2007, the United States government quietly got involved. Through the Defense Intelligence Agency, a secret program was funded to study exactly what was happening on this ranch. It was called AOW-SAP, and it ran for years on a budget of roughly 22 million taxpayer dollars. This was not a handful of ghost hunters. The program deployed physicists, engineers, intelligence analysts, and security teams to the ranch. They came to apply hard science to something that, by every rule they knew, should not be real. And the phenomenon, according to those who were there, responded to their presence, sometimes aggressively. Then, investigators reported the most disturbing pattern of all. They called it the hitchhiker effect. After spending time on the ranch, some of them said the strangeness followed them home. Shadow figures in their hallways, orbs drifting through their bedrooms, poltergeist activity around their children, unexplained illnesses. Whatever lived on that land, they believed, could attach itself to a person and leave with them. In 2016, the ranch changed hands again, bought by a real estate magnate named Brandon Fugao, who opened the investigation to television and to a new generation of scientists. Their attention kept returning to one feature above all others: a mesa on the property's edge. Instruments went haywire near it, and something, they came to suspect, was buried inside it. This time, the investigation was relentless. A permanent command center now watches the property. Radiation detectors, magnetometers, radar, and cameras running around the clock. And a chilling pattern emerged from the data. The phenomena seemed to escalate whenever the team pushed hardest, as if the simple act of measuring it was provoking it to push back. Using ground-penetrating radar, the team mapped a massive dome-shaped structure buried deep beneath the mesa, a shape that has no natural explanation. When they tried to drill down to it, the bits came back destroyed. Something under that hill was harder than tungsten carbide, and in places it wore the drill away without ever heating up. Whatever it is, it does not behave like ordinary rock. Again and again, the investigators recorded bursts of ionizing radiation spiking to dangerous levels, sharp, localized, and gone in seconds. And the spikes weren't random. They tended to appear at the exact moment an unidentified craft was overhead, or when a strange radio signal near 1.6 gigahertz switched on above the ranch. Cause and effect, tangled together in a way no one could untie. In an area of the ranch they call the Triangle, The team ran an experiment, launching a small rocket straight up into the anomalous zone. On high-speed film, as the rocket climbed, a dark mass appeared to materialize in the air above it, and the rocket was destroyed. Something up there, invisible to the naked eye, seemed to reach out and swat it down. The danger wasn't only to equipment. Investigators reported sudden nausea, splitting headaches, and strange physical injuries after standing in certain spots, as if they had walked into a field of energy they couldn't see. Some left the ranch and refused to return. Whatever they were studying, it appeared to be studying them back. More than once, people who knew the land came to deliver the same warning. Some things, they said, are not meant to be studied. And the harder you provoke this place, the more it will follow you home. The scientists thanked them and kept going, because the one force stronger than fear, it turns out, is the need to know. And this is what separates Skinwalker Ranch from a simple campfire story. In early 2026, researchers who worked the site published a peer-reviewed scientific paper documenting years of unexplained electromagnetic and radiation anomalies recorded across multiple independent instruments. Not eyewitness accounts, hard data, measurements that mainstream physics still cannot fully explain. So, what is it? The theories are as wild as the phenomena. Some believe the mesa hides a portal, a doorway to somewhere or somewhen else. Others argue for an interdimensional intelligence, a secret military project, or a natural energy no one has ever catalogued. Skeptics insist it's all suggestion, misidentification, and showmanship on a lonely stretch of desert. But here is the uncomfortable truth. For 30 years, ranchers, billionaires, scientists, and the Pentagon itself have poured decades and fortunes into this one small piece of ground. They have brought the best instruments and the sharpest minds on Earth, and not one of them has been able to say, with certainty, what is happening at Skinwalker Ranch. The gate is still locked, the cameras are still running, and every night the lights still rise over the mesa, as they have for generations, patient, silent, and utterly unexplained. Some doors, it seems, were never meant to be opened, and some are already open, waiting, in a quiet Utah field where the dark remembers everyone who comes to look. Sleep well,